Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Adamoose, and today in this series called In Depth, I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know about Diana Jungle.
They leave me no choice.
Diana is an AP powerhouse that has recently been buffed and is completely taking over the jungle meta. Her fast clears and strong teamfighting make her a top tier pick to learn and to start carrying games on. If you enjoy the content, it really helps me out if you could leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to help your boy out with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to talk with me and other members in the community who are looking to improve, be sure to join the Discord link that's in the description. I hope you guys can learn something. Enjoy the video. Diana's passive is called Moon Silver Blade. Passively, Diana gains bonus attack speed based on her level. After casting an ability, this bonus is tripled for 3 seconds. Diana's basic attacks grant stacks on hit, stacking up to 2 times. At 2 stacks, Diana's next basic attack consumes the stacks to cleave nearby enemies, dealing bonus magic damage, which is increased against monsters. This is a simple passive, which is at the core of Diana's kit. The bonus attack speed allows her to deal some serious DPS, and the bonus AoE magic damage greatly increases her clear speeds and dueling power. The most important thing to remember is to space out your abilities to maximize the 3x attack speed bonus that this provides. Diana's Q is called Crescent Strike. Diana unleashes a bolt of lunar energy that travels in a counterclockwise arc before exploding at the target location. This grants sight of the area, deals magic damage to all enemies hit, and applies Moonlight for 3 seconds, revealing them for the duration. Diana's Q is a skill shot, which is her main DPS spell, and is the most important ability to learn while mastering Diana. The Moonlight it applies also interacts with her E, which we'll discuss shortly. Diana's W is called Pale Cascade. Diana shields herself for up to 5 seconds, and creates 3 spheres that orbit her for the duration. These spheres detonate upon contact with an enemy, dealing magic damage to all nearby enemies when hit. If all 3 spheres detonate, Pale Cascade's shield is reapplied, stacking with its original shield and refreshing the duration. This is Diana's only defensive tool, which is also used to deal some bonus damage. This aids in keeping her healthy while clearing, and also to tank up some extra damage in fights. Diana's E is called Lunar Rush. Diana dashes to the target enemy's location, dealing magic damage and consuming Moonlight on arrival. If the target is within 400 range, Diana will dash through their location. Diana can also cast any of her other abilities during Lunar Rush. If Moonlight is consumed from the target, Lunar Rush's cooldown is reduced to 0.5 seconds, making this her main mobility spell and gap closer, especially paired with a landed Q, giving her a double dash. You can also QE, preemptively dashing to a target that will get hit by your Crescent Strike, which will still refund your dash's cooldown even if your E lands first. You can also triple E with some good timing, allowing you to dash 3 times to multiple targets that have been afflicted with Moonlight. This is probably Diana's most difficult ability to master, not because it's mechanically hard, but since knowing in which moments to use it will make a huge difference. We'll discuss some more in-depth situations in the jungle clear section, but for now just remember that using this spell to its full potential will be a make or break to succeed on the champ. Diana's ultimate is called Moonfall. Diana reveals and draws in all nearby enemies, slowing them for 2 seconds. If Diana pulls in an enemy champion, she calls down a massive beam of Moonlight to strike the area around her after 1 second, dealing AoE magic damage, which is increased for every single champion pulled beyond the first. Moonfall is an extremely powerful teamfighting tool, which rewards players by gaining increased damage based on how many enemies are hit. Although pretty straightforward, missing enemies with the initial cast will mean your ult completely fizzles, making you much less threatening. If you need to catch enemies off guard, R-Flash is a very useful combo to buffer your ult's animation and instantly pull in the enemy team, which most players will not expect. Landing a good ult will be the difference between steamrolling a teamfight and getting wiped, so it's very important to be patient and wait for the right moment to strike. For ability maxing, Diana maxes Q first, W second, and E third in pretty much all games. For early clearing, your skill order depends on your desired clear, which we'll discuss later on. Now let's jump right into Diana's best rune setups for Season 12. Although Diana does have a couple options, there is one page that really stands out from the rest. That setup is Conqueror with Inspiration Secondary. Conk is by far the best keystone on Diana, since it gives her amazing dueling power, she can stack it up extremely fast, and it also gives her some much needed sustain in extended fights. To close out the precision tree, Triumph and either Legend Alacrity for more DPS, or Legend Tenacity versus heavy CC teams. Coup de Grace is the best option in most games against squishies, while Last Stand is strong if the enemy team really lacks burst damage. Now for Inspiration Secondary, there are quite a few good choices. The most common is Magical Footwear and Cosmic Insight, but both Perfect Timing and Futures Market are strong options to speed up your build as well. If you want another secondary option, Domination with Sudden Impact and either Ravenous, Relentless, or Ultimate Hunter can be a solid option as well. Now if you're against a full squishy team and want pure burst damage, Electrocute and First Strike can both be decent keystone options. Although I don't really recommend either over Conquer, in the rare games where the enemy team is extremely squishy, they can both work. For Rune Shards, Attack Speed, Adaptive Force, and either Armor or Magic Resist depending on your jungle matchup are the standard choices. Now that we've covered Diana's runes, let's talk item builds. To start, both Red Smite and Blue Smite are viable options. Red Smite is a superior dueling choice into multiple melees and bruisers, while Blue Smite thrives at locking down and assassinating squishies. If you have an extra 350 gold early on, picking up an early Dark Seal is a great way to potentially snowball out of control very quickly. For boots, Sorks are the most common for extra burst damage, Plated Steel Caps are strong into heavy AD auto attack based teams, and Merc Treads when dealing with tons of CC. For Mythics, Hextech Rocket Belt is by far the most common and strongest choice for Diana. Everything about this item suits her kit perfectly, from the Magic Pen passive to the active, which allows her to gap close even more effectively to allow for huge engages. Now for core items, Shadow Flame, Zhonya's, Morellonomicon, and Void Staff are going to be the most consistent first buys. Shadow Flame is a new item that increases your burst by a ton, especially against shielded enemies. Zhonya's is a much needed defensive tool to stall, Morellonomicon for anti-heal, and Void Staff to shred through tons of magic resist. Nashor's Tooth is another honorable mention, as it can be very powerful into tankier teams. With that being said, I do think lower elo players overrate this item quite a bit. Although Diana does not have tons of item diversity, knowing the order in which to build her core items is going to make a huge difference. The goal is to build enough damage to one-shot the enemy carries, while also building some defensive stats so that you can actually engage without dying instantly. Now let's hop right into Diana's general jungle strategy and pathing. First is maximizing her clear speeds, which is Diana's main strength as a jungler. Since she gains bonus attack speed every time she uses an ability, spacing out those abilities to get the most out of your passive will greatly increase your DPS, especially in the early game. Next is using your QE combos not only to reset your E's cooldown, but also to go from camp to camp much more efficiently. This means always keeping one charge of E ready, and using your Q to grant vision, then dashing to close the distance. On the topic of efficiency, make sure to focus your auto attacks on the larger monsters, and let your AoE damage take care of the rest. When ganking, knowing the right moment of when to use Q and E will greatly change the outcome of your plays. When wrapping behind enemies, sometimes saving all your spells and baiting out flashes or dashes will be your best bet. As soon as the enemy uses their mobility, Q, E, then saving your second E for another gap close will allow you to stick to enemies for an extremely long time. Diana is also fantastic at taking towers and objectives due to her very fast attack speed. When you catch enemies out of position to defend those objectives, be sure to make use of this strength to either stack up tower plates or to sneak dragons and herald under the enemy's nose. Another small tip when fighting in the jungle is to stack up your empowered auto before engaging to instantly burst enemies, dealing even more damage in a short amount of time. Now for actual jungle routes, Diana's viable clears are pretty straightforward. First is the full clear route, which is by far the most consistent option due to Diana's ability to fully clear by 310, hitting level 4 before scuttles spawn. This can be done on either side of the map, depending on if you want a leash and where you want to path towards. Next is the 3 camp clear into gank, which is less common, but still very strong if you have the right setup for it. This is usually done by fully clearing one quadrant of your jungle, hitting level 3, and making a play right away. You can even adapt this by clearing 4 or 5 camps before ganking, so being aware of the right timing window is going to be the most important part. Depending on which side of the map you start on, Diana's skill order varies. When clearing red side, Q into E second is going to be your best skill order since you can dash over the wall to your Krugs and to your Raptors, increasing efficiency. When clearing blue side, Q into W is your best bet since there are no walls to cross and W will save you some HP. Diana has decent early dueling power with Conqueror, but it's definitely not her strongest point. Your goal should be to maximize farm and make plays in between, scaling up to level 6 and then beginning to swing fights in your team's favor when you have your ultimate. Diana's biggest weakness is definitely that she can be massively punished when making misplays, since missing a Q or ultimate can leave you a sitting duck with no escape. When you engage, there's no getting out, so you better be killing your target. Next is that she can struggle early on into very strong dueling champions. Champs such as Xin Zhao, Viego, Warwick, and Trundle can all demolish you in early skirmishes, so playing carefully and avoiding head-on fights is going to be crucial to get through the first couple levels. Diana can also struggle into CC tanks and utility champions with lockdown, especially when your team does not have a frontline. Sejuani, Poppy, Nunu, and Ivern are all junglers who can tank up your damage and CC you, which means any small mistake will leave you stun locked and bursted. Lastly, although Diana has solid scaling, her job starts to become much more difficult when enemies start picking up defensive tools such as Zhonya's and GA. Since your damage is very front loaded, any tool that enemies get to avoid that upfront burst will force you to be much more creative with your engages. This means either catching enemies by surprise out of vision, or by baiting out these tools before fully committing. And finally, let's discuss what makes Diana such a monster pick in the jungle. First is her ridiculous clear speeds, which allows Diana to quickly build up massive CS numbers and out-tempo almost any jungler in the game. An experienced Diana player will know exactly how to use this strength correctly, farming camps on cooldown and fitting in ganks when necessary to influence the map while also out-farming the enemy. Next is how Diana completely counters squishy champions. Champs such as Kiana, Rengar, Lilia, and Nidalee are so damn hard to play into Diana for this exact reason. One small mistake or lack of vision can mean instant death, putting all the control in your hands. To build on this, Diana also thrives into immobile carries since they will have a very hard time escaping her burst. The enemy Twisted Fate or Draven will have a very rough time when they get Rocket Belt QE ulted off cooldown for a 100-0 one-shot. Next is simply how good Diana is in teamfights, which allows a good Diana player to turn unwinnable games on their head by hitting a multi-man ult in the later stages. Learning how to consistently do this comes with time, but is one of the main reasons why Diana is such a terror to play against. Diana is a versatile AP carry jungler who farms fast, has solid dueling, obliterates squishies, and can even shred tanks. She's a top tier pick in the meta who's relatively easy to pick up and start carrying games on. If you're looking for an all-around strong pick who can easily solo carry games if played well, Diana is definitely the pick for you. That will do it for my Season 12 in-depth guide on Diana Jungle. If you want to support my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep up with my weekly uploads. Most people who watch are not subbed, and any extra support really helps my channel grow. If you have any questions or opinions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'll be giving away free coaching sessions every month to members of the Discord, so be sure to click the link in the description if you're interested. With all that being said, thanks again for watching. Until the next video, peace out.